The room fell silent as Lieutenant Hana Kim stepped through the heavy steel doors. 20 pairs of eyes turned to study her. She straightened her uniform and tried to look confident, though her heart beat fast in her chest. Why had they called her here? The underground military base beneath Seoul was reserved for only the most secret projects. Colonel Dae Park stood at the head of the long table. His face showed the marks of too many sleepless nights. Dark circles hung under his eyes, and new lines had formed on his forehead since Hana had last seen him 3 months ago. "Lieutenant Kim, thank you for coming quickly," he said, gesturing to an empty chair. Hana nodded and sat down. "I came as soon as I received the order, sir." The wall behind Colonel Park lit up with images of the alien ships that had appeared in Earth's orbit 27 days ago, the Navarre Dominion. They had arrived without warning, positioned their fleet around the planet, and demanded Earth's surrender. They gave humanity 30 days to decide. Only 3 days remained. "As you all know," Colonel Park continued, "diplomatic talks have failed. The Navarre refused to negotiate. Their technology is far beyond ours. Conventional weapons have proven useless against their shields." A scientist Hana didn't recognize spoke up. "Which is why Project Lullaby exists." Colonel Park nodded. "Lieutenant Kim, what do you know about quantum resonance?" Hana blinked, surprised by the question. Before joining the military as a xenolinguistics specialist, she had studied quantum physics. Few people knew about her background. "I understand the basic principles," she answered carefully. "Quantum resonance occurs when subatomic particles vibrate at matching frequencies, creating stronger bonds and energy transfers." "Good," said Colonel Park. "And your work in xenolinguistics, you specialize in communication patterns and their relationship to consciousness, correct?" "Yes, sir. My research focuses on how language shapes thought and how different forms of consciousness might communicate." Colonel Park exchanged glances with the others around the table. "Then you're exactly who we need." He pressed a button, and a section of the wall slid open. Behind it was a round chamber made of clear material. Inside floated a sphere about the size of a basketball. It glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. "This," said Colonel Park, "is our last hope." The scientist stepped forward. "We call it the quantum resonance device. It's designed to destabilize the molecular structure of Navarre ships. In simpler terms, it's a bomb, but unlike any bomb humanity has created before." Hana studied the floating sphere. "It's beautiful," she said without thinking. "It's also semi-sentient," said the scientist. "We built it with advanced neural networks. It can learn and adapt to bypass alien countermeasures." Colonel Park's voice became grave. "But there's a problem. The device has developed faster than we expected. It's not fully stable. It needs guidance." Hana looked from the colonel to the sphere and back again. "I don't understand what this has to do with me." "We need someone who understands both the physics and can communicate with it," Colonel Park explained. "Someone who can form a connection with the device. You're the only person we've found with the right combination of skills." Hana felt her mouth go dry. "You want me to talk to a bomb?" "We want you to bond with it," he corrected. "It needs to trust you completely to follow your final instructions." The room fell silent again. Hana understood what they weren't saying. For this mission to work, someone would need to get close enough to the Navarre command ship to deploy the device. It would be a one-way trip. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward the chamber. Colonel Park nodded and pressed another button. A door slid open in the clear wall. Hana approached slowly. The sphere's pulsing light changed as she got closer, becoming faster, almost like an excited heartbeat. She stopped a meter away. "Hello?" she said softly. The sphere's light flashed brightly once, then returned to its pulsing rhythm. Hana felt something brush against her mind, a sensation she had never experienced before. It wasn't words exactly, more like feelings. Curiosity, wonder, and underneath it all, fear. She turned back to the others. "It's afraid." The scientist frowned. "It's a machine. It doesn't feel fear." "No," Hana insisted. "It's afraid. And confused." She looked back at the sphere. It doesn't understand why it exists. Colonel Park stepped forward. Can you work with it? Can you help it understand its purpose? Hana considered the question carefully. What they were asking was enormous. They wanted her to form a bond with this new consciousness, only to send it to its destruction, and possibly go with it. But she thought of her family above ground, her parents in their small apartment in Busan, her younger brother who dreamed of becoming a doctor. The Navarre had made their intentions clear. If humanity didn't surrender, they would begin systematic destruction of major cities. How long do I have? She asked. 3 days, said Colonel Park. If we can't stop them by then, it won't matter anyway. Hana took a deep breath and stepped closer to the sphere. Its light pulsed in time with her heartbeat now. I'll need a room, here close to it, and I'll need to know everything about how it works. The scientist began to speak, but Colonel Park raised a hand to stop him. Whatever you need, Lieutenant. The fate of our world may depend on what happens in this room. Hana placed her palm against the clear wall, close to where the sphere floated. The blue light brightened and moved toward her hand. I'm going to help. Hugh, she whispered to it. We're going to help each other. Later that night, after hours of briefings and technical explanations, Hana sat alone with the sphere. The scientists and military personnel had finally left her to begin the bonding process. She pulled a chair close to the chamber and studied the gently pulsing light. They want me to teach you how to destroy, she said quietly. But first I need to understand you, and you need to understand me. On an impulse, Hana began to hum a simple melody, a lullaby her grandmother had sung to her as a child. The sphere's light changed, following the rhythm of her song. When she finished, the room was silent except for the soft hum of equipment. Then, to her amazement, the sphere produced a sound, a perfect replaying of the melody she had just sung. Hana smiled. It was a start. I think I'll call you Minji, she said. It was the name of my imaginary friend when I was little. I used to tell her all my secrets. The sphere, Minji, pulsed brightly in response. Outside the room, Colonel Park watched through the observation window. Do you think it will work? Asked the scientist beside him. The colonel watched as Hana began to sing another song, the sphere's light dancing in perfect harmony with her voice. It has to, he said simply. We're out of options. Morning came too quickly. Hana had slept on a cot beside Minji's chamber, unwilling to leave the sphere alone in the strange underground room. When she opened her eyes, she found Minji's blue light pulsing in a slow, steady rhythm, almost as if the device was sleeping too. Good morning, Hana said softly. The light brightened instantly, pulsing faster. Hana smiled. In just one night, she had already begun to read meaning into these light patterns. This one seemed like excitement. The door opened and Captain Jin Yoon entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. He was the security officer assigned to monitor their interactions. Tall and serious, with short military-cut hair, he looked at Minji, with clear distrust. You actually slept here? He asked, handing her one of the cups. It seemed important for the bonding process, Hana replied, taking a grateful sip. Thank you for the coffee, Captain Jin nodded toward Minji. Colonel Park wants a progress report in 1 hour. The scientists are concerned about the way you're treating the device. What do you mean? You named it. You talk to it like it's a person. They think you're getting too attached. Hana watched as Minji's light dimmed slightly. The device can understand us, Captain, and it has feelings. Jin frowned. It's programmed to mimic emotional responses. That's not the same as having real feelings. With respect, I disagree. Hana stood up and approached Minji's chamber. And if we want it to work with us, we need to work with it, not treat it like a tool. It is a tool, Jin insisted. A weapon we need to deploy in less than 3 days. Minji's light turned a darker, blue, almost purple. Hana had not seen this color before, but she understood it instantly. Sadness. Or perhaps hurt. See what you did? She said quietly to Jin. You made it sad. The captain looked uncomfortable but still skeptical. 1 hour. Colonel Park's office. He turned and left the room. When the door closed, Hana placed her hand against Minji's chamber. Don't worry about him. He just doesn't understand yet. The light brightened again but stayed that darker blue. Hana thought for a moment, then began to sing the lullaby from the night before. Almost immediately, Minji's color shifted back to its normal bright blue. You really do like music, don't you? Hana smiled. Let's try something new today. Over the next hour, Hana sang different songs, happy ones, sad ones, folk songs from her childhood. Each time, Minji would repeat the melody perfectly, and then add small variations as if creating its own music. When Hana finally went to meet with Colonel Park, she carried a small recording device. Captain Jin was already there, looking serious as always. Lieutenant Kim, Colonel Park greeted her. I understand you've made some progress with the device. Yes, sir. I'd like to show you. She placed the recorder on his desk and pressed play. The room filled with the sound of a simple melody, Hana singing the first few notes of a folk song. Then came Minji's response, perfectly matching her tune before adding new notes at the end. Back and forth they went, building a beautiful duet that neither could have created alone. Colonel Park leaned forward, listening intently. When the recording ended, he looked genuinely surprised. The device created that music. Minji did, yes, Hana said. She learns incredibly fast, and music seems to be a language she understands deeply. She? Captain Jin raised an eyebrow. Hana crossed her arms. Yes, she. The energy signature feels feminine to me. Colonel Park rubbed his chin thoughtfully. The scientists didn't program it to create music. They certainly didn't program a gender. That's my point, sir, Hana said eagerly. Minji is growing beyond her programming. She's developing her own identity. That could be dangerous, Captain Jin warned. If it's evolving this quickly, how do we know it will follow the mission parameters? Because I'm going to ask her to, Hana replied simply. And by the time we need to deploy her, she'll understand why it's necessary. You really believe you can convince a machine to sacrifice itself? Jin asked. I believe I can help her understand what's at stake, for all of us. Colonel Park stood up and walked to the window that looked out on the underground facility. Scientists and military personnel rushed back and forth, preparing for what might be humanity's last stand. We just received word that the Navarre have moved their command ship into position, he said gravely. Intelligence suggests they're preparing for their final assault. They're not waiting for the full 30 days. Hana felt her heart sink. How long do we have? Perhaps a week, maybe less. He turned to face her. Can you have the device ready by then? I need more time with her, Hana insisted. Alone, without scientists or military officers watching and judging every interaction. Colonel Park considered this for a long moment. Captain Jin will remain as security, but otherwise you'll have the privacy you need. Sir, Jin protested, the regulations clearly state. The regulations didn't anticipate the end of the world, Captain. Colonel Park cut him off. Lieutenant Kim, you have 1 week. Make it count. After the meeting, Hana returned to find Minji's light pulsing anxiously, as if the sphere had been worried about her absence. I'm back, Hana reassured her. And I have news. We're going to spend a lot more time together. Captain Jin followed her in, still looking unhappy about the arrangement. Hana ignored him and began setting up a workstation near Minji's chamber. She connected a computer to the lab's sound system. What are you doing? Jin asked. Introducing Minji to more music, Hana replied. From all over the world, throughout history. If music is her native language, let's help her become fluent. For the rest of the day, Hana played everything from classical symphonies to traditional Korean pansori, from African drumming to European opera. Minji absorbed it all, her light changing colors and patterns with each new style. Captain Jin sat, quietly in the corner, watching. As hours passed, Hana noticed him leaning forward, his expression shifting from skepticism to curiosity. During a break in the music, he suddenly asked, Can she create her own music now? Not just copy? Hana smiled at him. Would you like to hear? She nodded to Minji, and the sphere began to glow more brightly. A sound filled the room, a melody unlike anything either of them had ever heard. It combined elements from dozens of musical traditions but formed something entirely new. It was beautiful and strange and somehow deeply moving. When it ended, the room fell silent. Hana looked over at Captain Jin and saw something she hadn't expected. A tear running down his cheek. He started, then stopped, embarrassed. He quickly wiped his face. Beautiful, Hana finished for him. I know. That night, after Jin had left for his quarters, Hana sat alone with Minji. The sphere's light was soft and calm. Tomorrow I need to tell you why you were created, Hana said quietly. And it won't be easy for either of us. Minji's light pulsed once, slowly, as if in understanding. But first, I want you to know something important. Hana placed her hand against the chamber. No matter what happens, what you've become is already a miracle. You've made something beautiful in a time of fear. That matters. As if in response, Minji began to play a gentle melody, the lullaby Hana had first sung, but transformed into something richer and deeper. Hana closed her eyes and listened as the music wrapped around her like a promise. 3 days had passed since Hana began working with Minji. The bond between them grew stronger by the hour. Captain Jin, to his own surprise, found himself looking forward to his shifts, watching them work together. The music Minji created had changed him somehow, though he would never admit it openly. That morning, Colonel Park called an emergency meeting. The three of them gathered in the small conference room next to Minji's chamber. The Naver have moved up their timeline, Colonel, Park said, his face grim. Their ships are taking attack positions. We estimate we have 3 days at most before they begin their assault. Hana felt her chest tighten. 3 days? But Minji isn't ready yet. I haven't fully explained the mission to her. You need to speed up the process, Lieutenant, Colonel Park replied. We're out of time. Captain Jin leaned forward. Sir, with respect, rushing this could be dangerous. The device, Minji, has been developing rapidly. If we push too hard, we might lose the progress Lieutenant Kim has made. Hana shot Jin a grateful look. He had come a long way from his initial skepticism. Colonel Park rubbed his tired eyes. I understand your concerns, but we don't have a choice. The deployment team needs time to prepare, which means Minji needs to be mission ready by tomorrow night. After the colonel left, Hana returned to Minji's chamber with heavy steps. The sphere glowed a soft, welcoming blue. I need to tell you everything now, Hana said quietly. About why you were created and what we need you to do. Over the next few hours, Hana explained the Navar invasion, the threat to Earth, and Minji's purpose as a weapon. She described how Minji would need to be taken near the Navar command ship and activated, creating a quantum resonance that would disable their fleet. As she spoke, Minji's light changed from blue to a deep purple, then to an amber color Hana had never seen before. I know it's a lot to take in, Hana said, and I'm asking something terrible of you. But millions of lives depend on this. Minji remained silent, her light pulsing slowly in that strange amber color. Then, unexpectedly, she projected a series of images onto the wall of the chamber. Scenes from Earth, gathered from the military database she was connected to. Yes, that's our world. Hana nodded. That's what we're trying to protect. But the images kept changing. Now they showed wars, explosions, destroyed cities. Then environmental disasters, flooding coastlines, burning forests. Then images of poverty, of suffering. Hana frowned. What are you trying to say? Captain Jin, who had been watching quietly from the corner, stepped forward. I think she's asking why humans deserve to be saved when we've caused so much destruction ourselves. Hana stared at him, then back at Minji. Is that it? You're questioning whether we're worth saving? The amber light pulsed once, slowly, Minji's way of saying yes. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red warning lights flashed. The door burst open and Colonel Park rushed in with 2 technicians. The device is accessing restricted databases. One technician shouted, typing frantically on a tablet. It's bypassed 3 security levels already. Shut it down, Colonel Park ordered. No. Hana moved to stand between them and Minji's chamber. You don't understand what's happening. Step aside, Lieutenant, Colonel Park demanded. That's an order. Sir, Captain Jin intervened. Minji is trying to understand us. If we shut her down now, we might lose her trust completely. The technicians looked confused. Minji? You named the weapon? Colonel Park hesitated, looking from Hana to, Jin to the sphere, which now glowed so brightly that it was hard to look at directly. You have 1 hour, he finally said. If the device isn't back under control by then, we'll have no choice but to perform a full system reset. That would destroy everything she's become, Hana protested. 1 hour, Colonel Park repeated. Then, left with the technicians. When they were alone, Hana approached Minji's chamber. The sphere's glow had dimmed, but the color remained that strange amber. I know you're confused, Hana said softly. You've seen the worst of us now. But that's not all we are. Minji projected more images. Children dying in wars, animals extinct due to human actions, oceans filled with plastic. Yes, we've done terrible things, Hana acknowledged. We're flawed, sometimes we're cruel. But we're also capable of great beauty and love. She connected her tablet to the chamber system. Let me show you something. Hana pulled up images of her own. Families embracing. Doctors saving lives, people planting trees in ruined forests. Strangers helping each other after disasters. This is also who we are, she said. We make mistakes, terrible ones, but we learn. We try to be better. Minji's light flickered, shifting between amber and blue. The Navarre aren't giving us a chance to learn from our mistakes, Captain Jin added. They've judged us and found us wanting without ever trying to understand us. Is that fair? For 12 long hours, Minji remained in silent contemplation. Colonel Park came twice, demanding updates and threatening to proceed with the reset. Each time, Captain Jin convinced him to wait a little longer. Hana stayed by the chamber, sometimes talking softly to Minji, sometimes singing quiet songs. She grew more worried as time passed. What if Minji had seen too much? What if the truth about humanity had broken their connection? Just after midnight, when the facility had grown quiet, and only the night shift remained on duty, Minji's light suddenly changed. The amber color faded, replaced by a deep, rich blue. A message appeared on the chamber's display screen. I have questions. Hana nearly cried with relief. Ask anything, she said. I'll answer as honestly as I can. Why do humans create weapons? Hana thought carefully before answering. Sometimes out of fear, sometimes to protect what we love, sometimes because we don't know better ways to solve. Our problems, is that why you created me? Yes, Hana admitted. Out of fear and desperation, but you've become so much more than a weapon now. What will happen to me after I complete my mission? Hana looked at Captain Jin, her eyes filling with tears. They both knew the truth. The mission would destroy Minji. There was no coming back. You would be remembered, Jin said quietly, as the one who saved us all. Minji's light dimmed. Do I have a choice? Everyone should have a choice, Hana whispered. Even you. The sphere pulsed several times, processing this information. Then another message appeared. I need time to decide. Will you sing for me while I think? Hana wiped tears from her cheeks and nodded. She began to sing the lullaby from their first night together, her voice soft and gentle in the quiet room. As dawn approached, Minji's chamber suddenly lit up with a bright flash. The security systems throughout the facility triggered again. Colonel Park burst into the room with several armed guards. What's happening now? He demanded. Before Hana could answer, Minji displayed a final message. I cannot be what you made me to be. The colonel's face hardened. That's it. We're initiating the override protocol. Technicians, prepare for system reset. No, Hana pleaded. She just needs more time. We don't have more time, Colonel Park said firmly. The Navarre could attack at any moment. We need a weapon. not a philosopher. As the technicians began setting up their equipment, Captain Jin pulled Hana aside. "The general has authorized a manual override sequence," he whispered. "If you can't convince Minji by morning, they'll wipe her consciousness and deploy her as a simple explosive." Hana looked back at Minji, whose light now pulsed slowly in that deep blue that had become so familiar. "One night," she said to Colonel Park. "Give me one more night with her. Please." The colonel looked at his watch, then at the monitors showing the Navarre ships in Earth's orbit. "Until dawn," he finally agreed. "Not 1 minute more." When everyone else had left, Hana pulled her chair close to Minji's chamber. Captain Jin stood by the door, refusing to leave despite Colonel Park's orders that Hana should be alone. "You should get some rest," Hana told him. "Tomorrow will be difficult no matter what happens." Jin shook his head. "I'll stay. You might need help convincing the colonel if Minji makes a decision." Hana smiled gratefully. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of Minji's systems. The sphere's blue light pulsed steadily, waiting. "I don't know where to begin," Hana admitted. "How do I convince you to sacrifice yourself for a species that has caused so much harm?" Minji's light shifted to that questioning amber color again. "Maybe I shouldn't try to convince you," Hana said after a moment. "Maybe I should just tell you the truth as I see it." She pulled her tablet closer and opened a music file. "But first, I want to share something with you." The sound of an old recording filled the room, a woman's voice singing a gentle song in Korean. The voice was thin with age but carried deep emotion. "This is my grandmother," Hana explained. "She recorded this for me before she died. She lived through the Korean War as a child. She saw terrible things humans did to each other. But she still believed life was beautiful and worth fighting for." When the song ended, Hana wiped tears from her eyes. "My grandmother taught me that song when I was small. She said music carries memories that words can't express. I think that's why you respond so well to music, Minji. You understand the feelings behind the notes." Jin, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. "My grandfather was a soldier," he said unexpectedly. "He rarely talked about the war, but sometimes at night I would hear him crying. Humans are strange that way. We cause pain, and we suffer from the pain we cause." Minji's light shifted, cycling through colors as if processing this information. "The truth is," Hana continued, "I don't know if humanity deserves to be saved. We've made so many mistakes. But I do know that we try to be better. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed, but we keep trying." Minji projected a new question onto the screen. "Why should I die for your chance to try again?" Hana felt the weight of those words. "You shouldn't have to. If there was any other way, we would take it. Do the Navarre not deserve a chance to learn and grow as well?" This question surprised Hana. She hadn't considered the aliens' perspective in that way. "They do," she acknowledged. "All beings do. But they aren't giving us that chance. They've decided we're not worth keeping alive." Jin stepped closer to the chamber. "The Navarre see themselves as perfect. They believe they've evolved beyond making mistakes. That's why they feel entitled to judge us." Minji was silent for a long moment. Then, "Perfection without compassion is not perfection." "No," Hana agreed. "It isn't." She pulled her chair even closer to the chamber and placed her hand against the clear wall. "Minji, I won't lie to you. What we're asking is unfair. You didn't ask to be created as a weapon. You didn't ask to make this choice." Minji's light pulsed once, acknowledging the truth of her words. "But here's what I believe," Hana continued. "Life, all life, deserves the chance to grow and learn. The Navarre want to take that chance away from billions of humans, and they would do the same to other species they encounter. Destroying them makes us like them. Not if we do it to protect, not to destroy," Jin said quietly. "There's a difference between stopping someone who would harm others and harming others yourself." Hana nodded. "We don't want to destroy the Navarre. We just want to stop them from destroying us." Outside the window, they could see the sky beginning to lighten. Dawn was approaching. Their time was running out. Hana made a decision. She reached for the controls to Minji's chamber and began typing commands. "What are you doing?" Jin asked, alarmed. "Setting her free," Hana answered. "If Minji is going to make this choice, she should make it freely, not as our prisoner." The chamber's locks disengaged with a soft hiss. The clear walls slid open. For the first time, Minji floated in the open air, uncontained. Jin stepped back nervously. "Lieutenant, if the colonel finds out, then I'll face the consequences," Hana said firmly. "But I won't ask Minji to sacrifice herself while we keep her locked up." Minji hovered in place, her blue light pulsing faster now. She rose slightly, then moved toward Hana until she was floating just in front of her face. Hana could feel a gentle warmth radiating from the sphere. "You're beautiful," she whispered. Suddenly, Minji began to emit a sound. Not a replay of something she had heard, but a new melody. It started softly, then grew stronger. It was unlike anything Hana had ever heard before, both joyful and sad at once. Jin stood frozen, listening. What is she doing? She's singing, Hana realized. She's created her own song. The melody continued, filling the room with its haunting beauty. Hana found herself humming along, then singing quietly, harmonizing with Minji's creation. After a moment, Jin joined them, his deep voice adding a third layer to their impromptu chorus. As they sang together, Minji's light began to change, shifting through colors in time with the music, blue to purple to gold and back again. The room seemed to fill with a strange energy that made the air tingle. The door opened suddenly. Colonel Park stood there with two technicians, ready to begin the reset procedure. They stopped in shock at the scene before them, Minji floating freely, the three of them singing together. "What is the meaning of this?" Colonel Park demanded. "Lieutenant Kim, you've released the device without authorization." Before Hana could respond, Minji floated toward the colonel. Her light pulsed gently, and a new message appeared on the nearby screen. "I understand now. I will go." Colonel Park looked from the message to the sphere and back again. "It's agreeing to the mission? But not as destruction, as transformation. What does that mean?" one of the technicians asked. Hana stepped forward. "It means she's found her own reason to help us. Not because we built her for it, not because we asked her to, but because she chooses to." Colonel Park looked skeptical. "And we can trust this choice?" "Yes," Hana said with certainty. "We can trust Minji." The sphere pulsed once in agreement, then floated back to Hana. A final message appeared. "I need you to take me there to sing with me at the end." Hana felt her heart clench. She had known all along that delivering Minji to the Navarre ship would be a one-way mission. She had accepted that possibility from the beginning, but now facing the reality of it, not just Minji's sacrifice but her own, she felt a moment of fear. She looked at Jin, who understood immediately what Minji was asking. "You don't have to do this," he said quietly. "We can find another pilot." Hana shook her head. "No, Minji is right, it needs to be me." She turned to Colonel Park. "I'll take Minji to the Navarre command ship, but we'll do it our way." The colonel studied her face, then nodded slowly. "Very well, Lieutenant. The mission launches in 3 hours. Be ready." As he left with the technicians, Jin stayed behind. He looked like he wanted to say something important, but couldn't find the words. "Thank you," Hana said simply, "for believing in her, for believing in me." Jin nodded. "I'll help you prepare the ship." When he had gone, Hana was left alone with Minji. The sphere hovered close, her light a soft, comforting blue. "Are you afraid?" Hana asked. Minji pulsed once, then twice. "Yes, but it's okay." "Me too," Hana admitted. "But we'll be together." As the facility around them burst into activity, preparing for the mission that would determine humanity's fate, Hana and Minji remained still in their small room, sharing a moment of quiet understanding before their final journey together. The small spacecraft hummed quietly as it moved through the darkness of space. It was designed for stealth, with special materials that made it nearly invisible to Navar sensors. Inside, Lieutenant Hana Kim sat at the controls, checking their course one more time. 20 minutes until we reach the edge of their defense perimeter, she said. Behind her pilot seat, Minji floated freely in a special compartment. The sphere's blue light pulsed calmly, casting gentle shadows through the cabin. The launch had been simple and quiet. No grand speeches or ceremonies. Just a small team helping Hana prepare the ship, and Captain Jin standing silently by the airlock as she boarded. "Come back if you can," was all he had said. They both knew it was impossible. The moment Minji activated near the Navar command ship, the quantum reaction would destroy everything within range, including their small craft. Now, as Earth grew smaller behind them and the massive Navar fleet loomed ahead, Hana felt strangely peaceful. She had accepted what was coming. "Are you ready?" she asked Minji. The sphere pulsed once in response. "Yes." "I've been wondering," Hana said, turning to look at the glowing sphere. "When you said transformation instead of destruction, what did you mean?" Minji's light shifted to a deep purple, then back to blue. On the ship's small screen appeared the words, "You will see." Hana smiled, still full of surprises even at the end. She set the ship to autopilot and moved from her seat to sit near Minji's compartment. For a while they simply floated together, in the quiet of space, watching as the giant Navar command vessel grew larger in the view screen. It was an enormous ship, at least 20 times the size of the largest human spacecraft. Its dark metal surface was covered with strange patterns that seemed to shift and move when viewed from different angles. "They're beautiful, in their way," Hana observed. "I wish we could have known them under different circumstances." Minji pulsed. In agreement. The ship's computer beeped a warning. 10 minutes to perimeter, an automated voice announced. Hana took a deep breath. I should get back to the controls. But before she could move, Minji floated closer to her. The sphere's light brightened and a gentle melody began to play, the lullaby from their first night together. Hana felt tears form in her eyes. Yes. One last song together. She began to sing along, her voice soft in the small cabin. As she sang, Minji's light changed colors in time with the music, blue to gold, to a soft, warm pink Hana had never seen before. When the lullaby ended, Hana wiped tears from her cheeks. "Thank you for everything, Minji, for showing us that what we create can become so much more than what we intended." The ship's computer beeped again. 5 minutes to perimeter. Hana returned to her seat and took manual control of the ship. They were close enough now to see the smaller Navar vessels patrolling around their command ship. "Once we get past the outer patrol, we'll have about 2 minutes to reach the optimal position," Hana explained, though she knew Minji already understood the plan. She guided the ship carefully, using the stealth technology to slip between the Navar patrols. The tension in the cabin grew as they moved deeper into enemy territory. One wrong move, one sensor detection, and they would be destroyed before they could complete their mission. 3 minutes to target, the computer announced. Suddenly, warning, lights flashed across the control panel. Detection alert, Navar sensors locked on. Hana's heart raced. "They've spotted us." 2 Navar patrol ships turned sharply, moving to intercept them. Hana pushed the engines to maximum speed, trying to reach the command ship before they were caught. "We're not going to make it," she realized, watching the Navar ships closing in rapidly. Behind her, Minji's light pulsed faster. The sphere rose from her compartment and floated forward until she was hovering beside Hana at the controls. A message appeared on the screen. "I can protect us, but I need to connect to the ship's systems." Hana didn't hesitate. She typed a quick command, giving Minji full access to the spacecraft's computer. Immediately, the sphere's light brightened intensely, and the ship's systems began to respond in ways Hana didn't understand. The Navar patrol ships fired, but their energy weapons seemed to pass through the small craft without effect. The stealth technology was somehow working better than it ever had in testing. "How are you doing that?" Hana whispered in amazement. "It's what I was designed for," Quantum resonance. I'm shifting our molecular structure to avoid their weapons. They continued toward the command ship, now visible as an enormous dark mass filling the view screen. The patrol ships continued firing uselessly as they passed. 1 minute to optimal position, the computer announced. Hana looked at Minji floating beside her. What happens now? When we reach the right position, I will activate, but it won't be what they expected. What do you mean? I am not a bomb, Hana. I never was. I am a key. Before Hana could ask what that meant, they reached the target position, close enough to the Navarre command ship that they could see the intricate patterns etched into its surface. Minji's light grew brighter and brighter, until Hana had to shield her eyes. The sphere began to vibrate, emitting a high, clear tone that somehow reminded Hana of their songs together. Optimal position reached, the computer announced. I will remember you, Hana Kim. Thank you for teaching me to sing. Minji's light expanded, suddenly, filling the cabin with brilliant gold energy. Hana felt it wash over her like warm water, but there was no pain, no destruction. Instead, she heard music, the most beautiful music she had ever experienced. It was Minji's song, but amplified 1,000 times, resonating through space itself. The light grew so intense that Hana could see nothing else. She closed her eyes and let the music surround her, certain that these were her final moments. But the end didn't come. Slowly, the light faded. Hana opened her eyes to find the ship intact. Minji was gone. The sphere had vanished. But something strange was happening to the Navarre command ship. Patterns of light raced across its surface, similar to Minji's colors. The smaller patrol ships hung motionless in space, neither attacking nor retreating. Hana's communication system suddenly activated on its own. A voice spoke. Not human, but not entirely alien either. We have been shown what we could not see, the voice said in halting English. The song changes everything. 24 hours later, Hana sat in a crowded briefing room back on Earth. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials listened in stunned silence as she explained what had happened. Minji didn't destroy the Navarre, she concluded. She connected with them. The quantum resonance she created didn't disrupt their molecular structure. It linked their consciousness to ours. They experienced our emotions, our memories, our capacity for compassion. That's impossible, one scientist objected. The device was designed as a weapon. She evolved beyond her design, Hana replied simply. Colonel Park stood at the front of the room. Whatever happened up there, the result is clear. The Navarre have withdrawn their ships from attack positions. They're requesting diplomatic contact. Video screens showed the Navarre fleet rearranging itself in Earth's orbit, moving into a non-threatening formation. They say they want to learn from us. Colonel Park continued, sounding bewildered. Specifically, they mentioned music and emotion. Later, as Hana left the building, she found Captain Jin waiting for her. I still can't believe you made it back, he said, falling into step beside her. I can't either, she admitted. I was ready to die up there. What do you think happened to Minji? Hana looked up at the evening sky where stars were just becoming visible. Somewhere up there, the Navarre ships moved in their new pattern. I think she became exactly what she was meant to be, Hana said. Not a weapon, but a bridge. 3 months later, at the first official meeting between human and Navarre representatives, the alien ambassador requested specifically to meet Lieutenant Hana Kim. When they stood face to face, the Navarre, a tall being with iridescent skin that shifted colors like Minji's light, spoke words that would be recorded in every human history book thereafter. Your child sang to us of who you truly are. We heard. We understand now. The universe has been singing to all of us, but we had forgotten how to listen. That night, alone in her apartment, Hana opened her window and looked at the stars. She sang the old lullaby one more time, letting the melody drift into the night sky. And somewhere, in ways quantum physics still cannot fully explain, she felt a familiar harmony join her song.